Your name, your address, and your phone number are floating around the internet. Easy for strangers, scammers, and companies you've never heard of to find. Data brokers and shady databases collect and sell your private details to anyone willing to pay, putting you at risk of nonstop spam, scams, and fraud. You can't stop them from collecting data, but you can control who gets to keep it. That's why I use Incogni. They remove your private information from more than 420 of these sites automatically. And with their unlimited plan, you get total coverage. If you spot your personal details anywhere else online, just send them the link, and their privacy experts will get it taken down. It's the easiest, most complete way to protect yourself and personal life. Right now, you can lock in 60% off with my exclusive deal at privacykim.com. Go to privacykim.com right now and start protecting your privacy. This is so important. Privacykim.com. That's privacykim.com.
Welcome to the Kim Komando Show for the weekend of February 18th, 2023. And we get started. Here's hour one.
Now, my voice is a little off today. I get that. That's because I got a cold, and I'm trying to get over it, so just bear with me as we get through this show. I always like to start with something interesting, and let me tell you, this definitely checks that box. We're going to talk more about ChatGPT in just a minute or so, but the other day I asked it this question. What kind of name is Kim Komando? I asked this to ChatGPT. Is Kim Komando's name real? Now, I'm not going to tell you at this moment what the answer is. I'm going to do that in a bit. But I'll tell you, I was shocked. My husband was shocked. My son said he never knew that about me. And so I decided, well, let's go one step further with ChatGPT. Let me ask it to write a pun about me. So here's the pun about me, Kim Komando. Kim Komando has a lot of bite in her expertise. Okay, and you thought my jokes were bad? All right, let me tell you. You're about to get more tech smarts because, let me tell you, every single thing is now a tech thing. And if you're a new listener to the Kim Komando Show and podcast, welcome. And if you're a regular listener, welcome back. And after all, it's America's largest, most trusted source about all things digital. And offline, you can find my award-winning show on over 425 top stations across the country. And of course, we're streaming in your favorite radio app online. And you can find us streaming as a podcast, a webcast, whatever you want. You have 3 months worth of archives over at getkim.com. And a special thank you goes out to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network Radio, serving more than 375,000 American servicemen and women in 175 different countries and 200 ships at sea. Get the Kim Komando Show. I just love that. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And if you're just too shy to come on a big-time award-winning show and podcast, I totally get that. You can drop us your question over at komando.com. And in the upper right-hand corner, there's a link that says Email Kim. All right. Every single day, I drop by at least, 30 different websites to bring you up to date. And this is part of the show where I like to talk about the top 5 things that are happening in tech news at this very moment. And we're going to start with TikTok. That's right. It's huge. Kids ranging from 4 to 18, they spend about 107 minutes a day on the app. That's according to a recent report at the Wall Street Journal. But there's a disgusting problem at TikTok. It makes it really easy for sexual predators to find the kids. The app's algorithm is totally designed to keep kids hooked by feeding them content that they like. So that means if a predator is constantly watching videos of children, he or she is going to get more and more videos of what? Children. Not only that, it gives these creeps the opportunity to get in direct contact with them. So to be fair, TikTok says that they have some limits, but let's face it. It's not hard for a kid to lie and say, oh yeah, I'm over 13. I should be on TikTok. But listen to this. A predator started messaging a 14-year-old girl from Texas after she responded to his lip-syncing videos. And before you know it, he started sending her love notes. Ugh, disgusting. Yeah, he was grooming her, and luckily he got arrested. TikTok made over 150,000 reports in 2021 to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's tip line. So the bottom line is that you got to talk to your kids so they know what to be on the lookout for. Remember, when they should be on TikTok, but if they are, anybody pretending to be a kid, if they ever get sexually explicit messages, if somebody ever offers them gifts, if they encourage secrecy, those are all signs. So again, talk to your kids about that. Number 2, it's hard to be an AI bot. Google's Bard, they make mistakes during that demo we talked about on last week's show. But Bing is also getting into the crosshairs for making mistakes. Some guy asked about showtimes for the new Avatar, and Bing's like, we don't even know about the new Avatar. And then Bing starts arguing with people, like, what's going on with this? But what about me? Yeah, let's talk about me. So I asked ChatGPT, is Kim Komando a real name? And let me read you the answer. Kim Komando is a name that appears to be chosen for alliterative sound and memorable quality rather than having a specific culture or ethnic origin. Kim Komando was actually born Kimbra Ann Tomney, later changed her name to Kim Komando when she began her career in radio broadcasting. The surname Komando appears to be unique, not commonly found in the United States. It's possible that she chose that name for its resemblance to the word command, which is a term often associated with technology and leadership, two areas that are central to Kim Komando's work as a tech journalist and radio host. All right, let me tell you something. I was born Kim Komando. I was. And Sam Altman, I know you listen to the show. You're the founder of OpenAI. I DM'd you, but you're not DMing me back. Okay? I was born Kim Komando. I don't know. I think you're just making this crap up. I think maybe somebody's trying to screw with me over at OpenAI. By the way, if you search for that person's name on the internet, there's nobody else pops up. I think Open ChatGPT, that's just making crap up over there. I'm not going on. I mean, I have the scars of being Kim Komando in my childhood. Oh, people say, oh, did you ever go commando? You go commando, Kim Komando. Can't tell you how many times I've heard that. Or, are you a military commando? The answer is yes. Number 3 on our list, new Android camera features are here, and maybe you might want to switch from your iPhone. Maybe not. The new Samsung S23 getting a lot of attention because you can take these high-res images of the moon zoomed in 100 times. And if you're into taking pictures in the night sky, it has the Samsung Expert RAW app. It's like astrophotography mode. It uses all kinds of fancy AI, multi-frame processing to make your shots look super amazing. And then there's also the Google Pixel. It has this magic eraser, and everybody with iPhones are going, hey, what about us over here? Come on, Apple, come on. You know, Apple is, though, more profitable than Samsung. You could say that they outsell their competition. Get it? Sell, C-E-L-L. Ooh, okay, number 4. We'll move on. Your mental health data is being sold. A recent study by Duke University found that data brokers are buying and selling personal medical data, including mental health information. Now, keep this in mind if you're using any type of mental health app. And we're talking about stuff like depression, anxiety, ADHD. And how much do you think these data brokers are charging? Anybody? Anywhere from $275 to $5,000 for aggregated mental health records. Maybe $1,000 a year for a big data subscription. Tell you, these health insurance companies are using data brokers to raise the rates. And this is totally illegal. HIPAA, which we all know is the law that restricts how doctors and hospitals share American health data. It doesn't protect health information held by other parties. So just keep this in mind if you're using any type of mental health apps or entering personal medical data into your iPhone, your Fitbit, your watch, downloading a health app. Read the data privacy policies. It's your data. You don't want to give it away to just anybody. And finally, let's have some good news for a change. Number 5, meet Lloyd Richards. Lloyd is an author. He spent 14 years writing his book, Stone Maidens, and in 2012 it was published. But unfortunately, it didn't get any attention. As a matter of fact, it never even sold hardly a copy or two. Now, earlier this month, Lloyd's daughter, Marguerite, decided to give her dad a little help, a little promotion. So she made a TikTok video about her dad's book. It's only 16 seconds, and she says, my dad spent 14 years writing a book. He worked full-time. His kids came first, but he made time for his book. I'd love for him to see at least a few sales of his book, and he doesn't even know what TikTok is. Well, guess what happened next? The video just blew up online. It has more than 46 million views. Stone Maidens book sales through the roof. And since the video, Stone Maidens had sold out on Amazon. It reached number 1 on the bestseller list. Gosh, isn't this great? And Lloyd also has a sequel in the works. Wow. Great job, Marguerite, helping your dad out like that. That's pretty amazing. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but the Bible, there's no about this author section. Have you ever wondered about that, why there's no about this author section in the Bible? Apparently it was Holy Ghost written. Yes. All right, coming up in just a few minutes, we've got some great tips about how to save important text messages forever. how to turn your backyard into a dog park and actually make money at that. We have a really great site where you can just plug in your community. You can see all the high-tech surveillance that your local police are using. And of course, we have all of your phone calls, and you have me. Yes, the real Kim Komando. My name is Kim Komando. You know, it's probably one of the most commonly asked questions that I get on my national radio show. How can I make money on the side? I'm being laid off. We have a career change. I'm moving, whatever it may be. And of course, we always put together these lists. And the lists are like, for example, you could be a transcriptionist. You could be a virtual shopper. You can do search engine optimization. You could be an engineer, whatever it is. But you always need that motivation, right? You need to have that spark to say, yes, I'm going to make this happen. Well, I read about this realtor by the name of Andrea Lard, and I was just like, oh my gosh, she did it. And I'm so happy that she's here to tell us her story about how she went from, no, she didn't go from rags to riches, no, but she went from having one career to spinning this off into another career that gives her immense freedom. And also she's making some money at the end of the day too. So Andrea, thanks for joining us. So how did you get started?
Haphazardly.
Okay, that's honest.
Before COVID hit, there were a few things that happened. It was a perfect storm. So my husband's a few years older than I am, and he started talking about retirement. And I am not ready to retire yet. And part of his retirement included possibly moving. As a realtor, you have to get licensed in every state that you transact business. And I'm licensed in Florida because we made that move years ago, and licensed in Colorado. I didn't want to have to go through that again. And he wanted to travel. And so I had to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? Because first of all, I felt like I'm just too old to start over again. I just don't want to. And here I am starting over again. So it came down to, I told him, let me have a 5-year plan. You want to retire in 5 years. I get 5 years to decide what I'm going to do. So COVID hit, real estate got a little funky with how do you show houses? People wanted to sell, but they didn't want to show their house. Right. It got pretty litigious, buyer's remorse during the whole COVID situation, buying without seeing a house, that type of stuff. I thought, you know what, this isn't fun anymore. And I needed something to keep me occupied when being stuck at home. So I started blogging. I got on Fiverr, and I almost did it as kind of just a challenge. And I will tell you, I'm probably the oldest person on TikTok. And I was watching a gal on TikTok, one gal. she was claiming she had made over $300,000 a year on Fiverr writing blogs. And I thought, challenge accepted. Oh. And so I got on Fiverr. I started writing blogs for $25 a piece, and doing real estate blogs.
So it was something that you knew. So you knew real estate. And then what were these like individual agents that wanted you to write like maybe about the state of the market or how to make your house showable and the best curb appeal? I mean, it was that type of stuff?
Honestly, no. So I always tease that real estate agents are cheap. Sometimes they don't want to pay for this type of stuff. So no, it was more so websites. So one of my first ones was moversville.com, and they talked about moving and having moving trucks and pods and all of these things. And so it was a buyer's list that I created. So it was more so websites reaching out, not necessarily individual real estate brokers. It eventually,
I see.
It eventually morphed to that, where I've got she's a real estate broker in New Jersey who does multi-million-dollar properties, and she pays me $250 to do exposés on her listings to put in magazines. But I started out with the $25 blogs and didn't think that it would go anywhere, and it exploded. It was crazy. From there, Fiverr reached out to me, a liaison from Fiverr, and asked me to join Fiverr Pro. And I thought, well, I don't, what is this? So I did a little bit of research, and she said, well, the one thing is you'll have to increase your price to $100 thought, nobody's going to pay me $100 to do 500-word blogs. There's no way. And she said, oh, no. I promise you, you will have more business than you know what to do with. And she was right.
Wow.
She was right. The floodgates opened, and I started getting inquiries to do ebooks. Well, you do articles, but will you write an ebook for me? Or I've written a book, and will you edit it and look at it and rewrite sections for me? So it just kind of snowballed into something. And I thought, you know what, this is kind of fun. And I thought, wow, I might not have to show houses anymore. So my first year was 2021. I started in March, and I only made about $11,000 that first year on Fiverr. The second year, last year, was my second year, and I hit almost 100, or I almost made 80,000, but that was part-time because I was still working in real estate. So I was doing about 20 hours a week in real estate and 20 hours a week in freelance writing and editing. So I made 6 figures in real estate last year and 80 in freelance. This year I'm transitioning. I'm going to refer out my real estate business and try to retire from that and do writing full time.
That is awesome. I love that. And so, I mean, you went from $25 thinking like, who would ever pay me $100? And then now you're at $250, and then I'm sure it keeps going up. And so if anybody wants to hire you, follow you, see what's going on, how do they do that, Andrea?
So my website is up, and it's creative5280.com. Always you can find me on Fiverr. I am all over the place. I was the first pro service provider for AI content. So I'm in bright green. You can't miss me. And then I'm not so much involved with social media, but you can find me on TikTok. And that is Andrea5280. And you can also find me on Facebook with the Creative5280.
Hey, Andrea, thanks for joining us. And I'm sure a lot of folks just got inspired to get off their butts and do something already, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Now, over at Komando.com, we have so many lists of legitimate ways to make money. Maybe you could be a tutor. You can make extra money taking surveys, maybe a marketing gig, engineering, assistance, call centers. I mean, even renting out your pool, your bike, your garage, your car. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to tell you the secret on how you can make $3,000 a month. Yes, I said $3,000 a month renting out your backyard. Yes, you can make $3,000 a month renting out your backyard. It's just crazy. So stay right where you are here at the Kim Komando Show, and we have more calls coming up too. All right, if you're a dog lover, how do you like to make $3,000 a month renting out your backyard? Yeah, you heard me right. It's a side hustle that's a win for dog lovers everywhere. You can rent out your backyard as a dog park using an app, SniffSpot. I know it sounds a little kooky, like why would somebody want to rent out their backyard or why to go to another backyard? Well, maybe they're traveling and Fido needs some room to spread out. Maybe they live in an apartment where there's no place for the dog to run. Now, to get started, check out your competition at sniffspot.com. And then you see backyards organized by city and state. I found a backyard near me complete with all kinds of photos. They had a hammock for the dog parents to use, so cute. And they had 349 reviews. That's right. Praising the large grassy area and great hosts. Now, most backyards charge around $15 an hour, but you can also offer monthly memberships. Now, SniffSpot says that you can earn up to $3,000 a month renting out your yard. That's really something. Again, the website address is sniffspot.com. I mean, what a great way to make some extra money. It's not rough at all. Okay, Mike in Des Moines, Iowa, welcome.
Hi, Kim. How are you today?
Great. Thanks for your call. What's going on?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I got into an interesting situation this week with my son. I actually have 4 kids, but my second oldest managed to get into a situation where he's got a debit card. It's a joint account with him and me, kind of one of these parent accounts. And he managed to get that onto Nintendo and onto Google just in the last about 40 days, Google Play, and managed to rack up about $2,900, and about $900 of that was on Nintendo, and about $1,500 of it was on the Google Play Store in these in-app purchases. And not really, I think, realizing what was going on. He had told me, well, I bought a few games, and then, it just kept taking money, and I didn't know what to do. And he was actually, when we found out what was going on, because he was acting very odd, and we were actually going to do tech stuff, and I pulled up his bank account stuff, or this joint bank account that I got for him to hopefully teach him some responsibility, and found out that his entire account had basically been wiped out by Google Play apps. And now Nintendo, they were gracious enough. They had been going on for about 3 months with Nintendo, and they agreed to give back or to reimburse about $450. But there's no way to talk to Google and nothing we can do about it, it seems. And obviously I shut off the debit card to stop these reoccurring fees that just keep going on and on and on. But, other than that, I'm not a super tech-savvy guy, and we just basically had an entire bank account wiped out by more or less by Google Play in-purchase apps. And it felt a little, I was frustrated with him. Like, I almost strangled him, but I didn't. But I can't keep him locked away forever either. But then when
Mike, it happens, and it's not because you're a bad dad. Number one is that
I'm not the most savvy person when it comes to these games and in-game apps. But then I got to thinking about it. It just seems kind of wrong to do this to 15, 16-year-olds. And he.
Well, okay. Well, first of all, let's just talk about number one. A debit card doesn't give you any recourse,
right? And
so, had this been on a credit card, we could have disputed all the charges. Okay. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't still try,
right?
It doesn't mean that I still wouldn't try to get the money back from the credit card or from the financial institution or the bank. I would report these as unauthorized transactions. And they may be able to reverse the charges and refund the money to your account. So I would definitely contact your bank or your financial institution and use the words unauthorized transactions. And I would go back to Nintendo, too, and tell them that these are unauthorized purchases. And they need to check their policies, because they probably have policies that say whatever you buy that you have to pay for, but who reads those policies? Because nobody does.
Right.
And of course, you're going to have a conversation with your son about being responsible and not falling prey to these things. But you're in a very, very difficult situation because, Mike, you have a 16-year-old that in 2 years is going to be a self-sustaining adult, hopefully. And this is a valuable lesson that your son has learned, because I'm sure you didn't just say, "Oh, honey, it's okay, don't do it again." I'm sure you sat him down and said, this is, listen, Snowflake, this is a problem. Right. And you've got to be aware, and you've got to watch the screen. And if they promise you another level for $9.99, that means it's $9.99 a month. And then you keep adding more and buying more, whatever it may be, because it gets to be almost of addiction. So now we know that he has possible addictive tendencies.
And we talked about that too. Yeah.
Good. And so, so this way, it becomes a whole learning experience. But, as far as being able to contact Google Play, there are ways that you can do that, and you can file complaints. The problem is that it's Google, and you're one of like 8 billion people that, are using Google products, and they're not going to want to give you the time of day. So what I would do is I would get in touch immediately with the bank or your financial institution that issued this debit card, and again, report these as unauthorized transactions and sit on them. Just say, hey, listen, this is $2,900. We need to get this back. And I know you said you got a couple $400 back from Nintendo. But again, I would start pressuring the bank or financial institution in addition to actually contacting Google and see if you can get the money back there too. And Mike, thank you for your call. Now, here's the deal. I know what you're thinking. Oh, Kim, he should just turn on parental controls and limit in-app purchases. Yeah, you can do that. But remember, we're talking about a 16-year-old guy, okay? A 16-year-old guy can get around any type of parental controls out there, but more importantly, We want to teach the 16-year-old to be a responsible digital adult, digital citizen. We don't want him to just say all of a sudden the parental controls go off, and then he goes crazy. You know what I'm talking about. You know those kids in college. Parents never, ever let them have a beer or a glass of wine, and they get to college and they go crazy. So, parental controls are good, but, when they're age appropriate. All right. I don't know if you've ever heard of an organization called the Electronic Frontier Foundation, or EFF for short. They are really pro-privacy, pro-security, and they have been for so many years. Well, over on their website, there's a link to a project. I'll tell you how to get there in just a second. But it's called the Atlas of Surveillance. It's really fascinating. It's a searchable database that shows the surveillance technologies that are being used by law enforcement agencies across the United States, and then you can search for your individual town or community. And so you'll see what your law enforcement agencies are using near you, like drones and automated license plate readers and facial recognition. So where do they get all this data? It comes from public records, crowdsourcing, they say, data journalism, news stories, social media, press releases, volunteer assistance. As of November 2022, the Atlas of Surveillance has some 10,000 data points, or at least partial data, on 5,500 law enforcement agencies in all 50 states and territories and districts. And it's only growing from there. So what this means to you is that you can go in there and you can see exactly what is being used in your local community. So the address, I'm going to go ahead and give it to you right now in case you want to check it out. But we always have a link to it over at Komando.com. But it's atlasofsurveillance.org. That's atlasofsurveillance.org. If you want to just see where it is, you go to atlasofsurveillance.org/atlas, and then you can search. But if you just go to the website, they have some links to that. Now, if you want some more information about it, some more details about, Ring cameras and video analytics and body cams and license plate readers, we have a lot of it detailed over at Komando.com in this tip. So head over to KOMANDO.com. And when you're there, just hit the link that says Kim Show. But again, if you want to just check it out, go into our website. Totally cool. I get that. Head over to atlasofsurveillance.org. All right, coming right back, we have a tip on how you can save text messages forever. We have more of your phone calls. Oh, I forgot to tell you that this is also coming up. I don't know what I was thinking. It's really a great tip. Have you ever thought about where you live and how it affects how much you pay for stuff online? So like, for example, in the more expensive zip codes, you have more expensive grocery stores. Well, it kind of goes the same way on the internet, that you may be paying more or less depending upon where you live. I'm going to tell you more about that. And of course, we have more of your phone calls and more of me, Kim Komando. It's a question that we get a lot here on the show. How can I save my important text messages? I mean, because your text messages are full of photos and conversations and replies, but I bet there are some messages that you just don't want to lose. So let's start with Android phones. Now, there are a slew of text messaging backup apps in the Google Play Store, but the one that I want you to use is called SMS Backup and Restore. The app creates a backup on your phone to the cloud, Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, and you can create backups whenever you want. You can also schedule automatic recurring backups too, which is pretty sweet. Now, if you're using an iPhone, you can back up your text directly to your iCloud account. Just toggle messages on in your iCloud settings, or use the app iExplorer. That's really good if you have a whole bunch of different text messages from different people that you want to save, and you want to be able to print them out. iExplorer, it's going to save your iPhone's messages to your Mac. It also works on a PC, by the way, as a PDF file. So once again, if you're using Android, head to the Google Play Store. It's SMS Backup and Restore. And then if you're using an iPhone, you can use iCloud. Or if you want a third-party app, it's called iExplorer. And if you need the names of the apps again, just search the phrase Backup My Text Messages over at Komando.com. Hey, just a quick reminder, if you're not already getting our tips, make sure that you sign up right now because you don't want to miss one. Head over to Komando.com/get free tips and join over 400,000 people that are getting our free tips. And just 5 minutes a day, that's all it takes. And by the way, it's 100% free and you can unsubscribe anytime. Once again, that's Komando.com/get free tips. Earl in St. Louis, Missouri. Hello there, Earl.
Well, currently I have a Linksys MR9000 tri-band. I believe it's Wi-Fi 5. I'm interested in looking into Wi-Fi 6 tri-band, like a mesh system. My apartment condo is like 1,700 square feet, and they're between like the kitchen and where the main router would be is probably 3 walls. So out of curiosity, are there any brands to avoid? Also, I do have some 2.4 gigahertz, like my Nest thermostats, and I believe that the Echo Dot uses that too.
So here's the deal. What's really interesting is that mesh networks are so good. I mean, they work so well, especially when you start looking at situations like yours. But you have to be careful because, like you mentioned, like you have 2 or 3 walls, and they're probably pretty thick walls, I could imagine, especially they may be cement. So what you want to do is always make sure that when you're looking at a router, and especially like now Wi-Fi 6 is the way to go. And for everybody who's listening, if you're like, what the heck is a mesh network? It's sweet. Works so well. I have one in every one of my homes. Is that what, instead of you having to put all these Wi-Fi repeaters around, is that with a mesh network, is that you use what's called satellites, or these satellites, or could actually be in and of itself repeaters, but it's not the same technology. And it also works so that, like, let's say, or like you're in the kitchen and you kind of have like a dead zone in the study, but your phone is there, that you may be able to get a signal in there simply because that you're using a mesh network. A couple of brands that I use and I recommend is, the first one is called Eero, and that's EERO. Eero is now owned by Amazon. What's nice is that they have this mesh system. It can actually work with up to 75 devices. I know it's crazy. And if you buy the 3-pack, and it's going to sound like, well, why do I need a 3-pack? Well, the 3-pack covers up to 4,500 square feet. And I know you said you had, 1,700 square feet? Is that right, Earl?
Right.
Okay, so you have 1,700, but you have these walls. And so what we want to do is make sure that we have enough units in order to do that. So what you're going to do is, between your cable modem and your router location, maybe you want to put one of these, what they call satellites, one of these little units closer to the modem. This way you're going to have a really strong connection. But it's about, they're about $340, or pardon me, about $240, about $240. And again, so you're going to get the Eero 6 Plus Mesh system. It's a 3-pack, and it's $239. Now, if you want to stick with Google products, because you did mention that you have a Nest, the Google Nest Wi-Fi, it also supports Wi-Fi 6 and can cover up to 4,400 square feet. And you can set it up and manage using the Google Home app. But I'll tell you, one of the things that I've learned over the years is, like, if it works, I want to tell you all about it. And that's why I use and I recommend Eero, and that's EERO. And hang on the line. We'll send you a link, Earl, so you can check it out yourself. And for everybody else, just search for routers. Matter of fact, we have a router quiz over at Komando.com. If you're ever wondering about which is the best router, just head over to Komando.com/router quiz. Hey, Earl, thank you so much for your call today. I do appreciate you getting through. There's a ton of advantages for mesh networks. You have increased coverage, and the network just performs better. It seems to be like seamless connectivity, too. So you're not going to have those parts of the house where you just don't have really good Wi-Fi anymore. They're super easy to set up. And they also integrate very, very nicely into this whole Internet of Things. So I'm talking about your smart thermostats, your smart locks, your smart speakers. So you have this fully connected home. Okay, in real life, the pricier the neighborhood, the more expensive the grocery store. And guess what? Websites, they kind of work the same way. Only 1 in 3 Americans know that online shops use your device's location to raise and lower prices on their products, and they do that dynamically and automatically. And it's a big number, so depending on where you live, you could get the short end of the stick with deals. But there are ways to get around this. Number 1, get a VPN, and then change your location to one where you think they might be getting lower prices on products. And you buy through there, but you can always ship to your home address. Of course, the VPN that we use and recommend here on the Kim Komando Show is expressvpn.com/Kim. Number 2, you can compare prices online. Sites like PriceGrabber and Google Shopping, they'll take a look at costs of items all over the internet. And finally, number 3, track prices on the products that you're going to want to buy. Now, if you have Chrome, Keepa is a really powerful extension. You can keep tabs on price history charts on the items that you want on Amazon. But don't forget, there's always, if you are shopping on Amazon, there's always Camel. Once again, that's camel.com. I don't know why they named that's so annoying. Hey, listen, tell 3 friends about the Kim Komando Show, because knowledge is power, and you can find me 24/7 at Komando.com. If you own a home, listen up. This is scary. The FBI is warning about a crime on the rise, home title theft. And it doesn't happen the way you might think. No break-ins, no stolen keys, just a forged signature on a single piece of paper filed with the county. In minutes, criminals can transfer the title out of your name, then use your ownership to drain your equity or even sell your home. The worst part, most people don't know what's happening until they get collection or foreclosure notices in the mail. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. When you visit HometitleLock.com/Kim, you'll get a free title history report and a 14-day free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection, including 24/7 monitoring of your home's title, urgent alerts to changes, and if fraud does happen. Their U.S.-based restoration team will work to restore your title, covering costs up to $1 million. Don't wait. Protect your home and equity today. Get your free 14-day trial at HometitleLock.com/Kim. That's HometitleLock.com/Kim.
It's the Kim Komando Show for the weekend of February 18th, 2023. We thank you for listening, and here now it's hour 2.
Now, you might notice my voice is a little raspy today. No, I did not go to a concert last night and scream a lot. I just got a little bit of a cold. And having a cold and being a national radio host is like the worst thing. So just bear with me as we get through the show. I always like to start with something fun, and tech can now help you walk faster, right? There's a startup called Shift Robotics, and they invented a pair of shoes that it says will help you walk 250% faster. Here's all the tech. There are some sensors in the shoes that collect data on your gait, and then they employ machine learning algorithms that use data to control the speed at which these 8 motorized wheels at the bottom of each shoe rotate. Yes, I said 8 wheels at the bottom of each shoe. Think like roller skates. The average walking speed is 2 to 4 miles per hour or 20 minutes a mile. But with these 8 wheels at the bottom of each shoe, you're going to go 7 miles per hour or just 8.6 minutes to walk a mile. Now, in case you want to buy these and you know that you're not going to fall or get crazy on them, $1,400. That's right, $1,400 for these high-tech roller skates. Let me tell you, I'm never going to buy these. It's not that I would fall, because I'm really a bit of a cheapskate. Ooh, yes, that's right. Hey, I'm Kim Komando. You've tapped into the nation's largest, most trusted source for all things digital. It's a fun show. It's a great podcast, and you're about to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. And you can find my award-winning show on over 425 top radio stations all throughout the United States. Of course, we're streaming in your favorite radio app. Just search for my last name, Komando. And you can get us streaming on demand 24/7 over at getkim.com. And a special thank you goes out to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network Radio. I'm talking about our servicemen and women in the Army, the Marines, the Navy, the Air Force, Coast Guard, and Space Force who are protecting our great nation while I speak. Hey, listen, our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And in case you have a question, you can always email me your questions and do that best over on the website, komando.com. And in the upper right-hand corner, there's a link that says Email Kim. All right, every single day, I visit at least 30 different websites to make sure that you and I are both up to date on all things digital. And this is part of the show where I like to focus more on consumer tech, things that you guys and gals are using. And first up of our 5 things is about 60 million people in America have at least one smart device installed, from talking about thermostats, webcams, doorbells, speakers. And those are really big potential targets for criminals and hackers. So take smart speakers. A cyberstalker's dream come true. Just recently, a woman accessed her ex-boyfriend's Amazon Echo speaker to shout, "Get the whore out," to him and his new girlfriend while the two were in bed. Stay classy. But there are things that you can do. First of all, change all your default logins. Most of them keep as like admin, guest, root. You want to change those. Change all the passwords, obviously. If you do have an X, do a factory reset on all the smart stuff. And particularly your router. Like, people forget about that. So your X may have access to the router by going into the network, and then they have access to just about everything else. So if you have a really crazy X, make sure you just replace the router. Okay, I know you can factory reset it, but just be on the safe side. Number 2 on our list is number 2, bada bing, jump the line. In about 48 hours, over 1 million people signed up to use Bing AI with ChatGPT. But what if you want to jump the line? How do you do this? And because maybe you're on the waiting list. Well, first you have to head over to this address, bing.com/new. You have to do a whole bunch of things. You have to make Microsoft Edge your browser. Then you have to make Bing your default search engine. I mean, you don't want to be using Google anymore. Then you have to make MSN your default homepage. And lastly, you have to pin bing.com to your taskbar. You have to do all of that to jump the line. There's actually a little bit more, but you get the point. In case you want to get started, the address is bing.com/new in case you want to try ChatGPT that is totally integrated with Bing and might even give Google a run for its money. And, think about this. Bing could have totally crushed Google instead of Bing if they called it Bang. I mean, just like we use Google as a word, like I Googled whoever, you could say like I banged whoever. I mean, would have gotten a lot of attention. Number 3 on our list, Tile thinks it has a $1 million idea. So if you use an AirTag or Tile to find your missing stuff, I'm talking about your keys, your remotes, your wallets, and more, it's really handy, but the creeps are using it for stalking. So Tile is one of the biggest Bluetooth tracking device companies out there, and they think, well, we have a solution to stop the stalking. So we're going to make your Tile tracker only visible to you through its new anti-theft mode. What? Yes. Tile's own in-app feature makes it impossible for anyone to scan nearby tiles, so it's not really invisible. But now with this new anti-theft mode, you have to jump through some hoops. You got to provide an ID to verify your identity. You have to allow Tile to share data with law enforcement. And there's a big one. You have to agree to pay a $1 million fine if you're convicted of stalking using Tile devices. That's right. If you stalk, you're going to pay a $1 million fine. I mean, let's be real. If only one person knows where the tile's located, doesn't that make it easier to stalk? Just saying. And does anyone really think that some wacko stalker is going to not use a tile tracker because of the potential of a $1 million fine? I sure don't. Number 4 on our list of 5 things is YouTube is going full parental. The average American kid spends 61 minutes a day on YouTube, and they spend 100 minutes a day, by the way, on TikTok. These kids, we got to send them outside for a while. But if you're a parent and you're worried about the kids spending too much time on the YouTube app, now you can finally set a limit. Here's what you do. You open up the app, you go to the kid's profile and tap on the timer icon, and then you set the time for a specific amount of time or a certain time of day. And then to make sure that your kids can't change any of these settings, you have to set up a passcode. But remember, your kiddos are super smart. So set a reminder, double check all those security settings every 2 weeks, because I'm totally sure they're going to find a way around all these parental controls at YouTube. And last, this at number 5, get a dog or just borrow one for a few hours if you're looking for love online. Because a dog in your dating profile is going to boost your chances of finding love. A new study just came out that says dogs could be your best wingman when it comes to online dating. According to a poll of 1,000 adults, 2/3 of folks say they're more likely to match with someone whose dating profile includes a picture of a dog. 6 in 10 believe that owning a dog is a good sign that someone's ready to settle down. And it's not just that. People also think that dog owners are more social, they're more active, they're more caring. So not only will having a dog in your pics help you find love, it also says, I just might be a well-rounded person. Other things you want to do, don't post topless pics all over the place. You want to check your spelling and grammar. That's a big one. And finally, this is really interesting. If you really want to show off, you want to showcase your Apple devices. Yeah, that's what they're saying. Having Apple devices will get you up to 76% more matches. Wow. Isn't that nutso? Hey, speaking of, what did the mushroom put in his bio at Tinder? What did the mushroom put in his bio at Tinder? Anyone? I'm a fun guy. Okay. So, all right, coming up, we're going to talk about how you can unsend an email. Yeah, we've all done that. Hit send, go, oh, yikes, what happened? We have our money tip. Used phones are in demand. We have the best models to buy for any budget. And then later on, private mode. Is it 100% private? Spoiler, it's not. And of course, we have all of your phone calls, and you have me, Kim Komando. Hey, if you haven't already, make sure that you get our free tips. Head over to komando.com/getfreetips and join over 400,000 people who get our free tips every single day. And it's 100% free, by the way. It is. There's no catch, and you can unsubscribe at any time. But I think you're really going to love it. It's komando.com/get-free-tips. All right. How about we start with Jill in Phoenix, Arizona?
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. I just really appreciate it. I'm so glad I found you.
Me too. So how can I help you out?
Well, for the last 2 years, my phone has been cloned and hacked. I've had 8 phones. I've had 7 phone numbers. I've changed all passwords, and of course, every time I change my phones, and I've done the right thing there. But they find me, and they're local because they steal from me. I sell on a third-party app, and they come in and steal these things that I'm selling. It's a big problem. I have spoken with the cops, and they can only do so much. They can't do a lot when it comes to, of course, my phone. But I'm in a bad way, and they just hijacked my phone. They take over, and they do what they want to do, and I don't know what to do.
So, number one, how do you know that your phone is cloned? And then I want to hear more about how you're selling stuff online and they're stealing that stuff from you. So let's start with the phone being cloned. What makes you think that your phone is cloned?
Well, because I see other people's phone lists on my phone calls on my phone bill, and they it's a certain person that I know that knows a lot of information that they shouldn't know. They could only know if they were listening in on my phone or watching my texts. So that's one reason.
Now, do you think it's a certain person? Do you have any idea who this person is and why they would be doing this?
I have, and I have it. I'm 90% sure, and that they started it. Now, I don't know at this point if they're still that involved or not. But yes, it was a relative and very jealous and envious and of how my life used to be. They've ruined my life now, so it's sad. But I think that's where it started. And
so it was somebody who it's a relative who is malicious in intent.
Yes.
And then how do you think they're getting into your phones time and time again? I mean, 7 phones, that's a long time.
Yeah. Well, this last one, time and time again, she had access to my phone. That's why we were living together. And she had access to my phone. And right. I was very naive. And now, of course, this last phone was stolen. She stole it from me, and then I didn't get it back for a couple of months. And when I did, I had paid $600, and I couldn't return it. It was too late to return it. So, and it looked all packaged stuff, right? It looked good, but I'm sure they put something in there, because they had it for 2 months. So they did something to it. So I've got to get a new phone someday, but I just can't afford to get a brand new phone. I don't want to buy a used one because I don't want to go through this again. So,
all right. So, okay. So where are you at today in all this?
Well, I'm fighting. I sell on OfferUp, and I sell, and I love doing it. It's just fun for me. It's my pleasure. It's what I want to do because I just love doing it. And
sure,
they come in and they come into my house. Well, first of all, they came into my storage units. I had 3 of them. They came into 2 of them, stole a bunch of stuff, a lot of stuff, and thousands of dollars worth of stuff. And there were cameras and everything. They didn't use my key, and they didn't use the code. So the cops, by the time that the place, the security place, didn't believe me because they said, no, they're not getting in here without a code or a key. And I said, they are. I swear they are. By the time
was there anything? Okay. Was there anything, Jill? Was there anything on the security cameras?
No, and that's the whole thing. I don't understand that because I know they were there because this stuff was gone, and that just blows my mind because unless they didn't really check, I imagine they did when they were at work, but I imagine that this person came in after hours,
Okay.
Which the camera
let's talk about how we can make everything stop, okay? The best way that we can. Okay. Number one, I want you to Now, is this where you're living now? Is it the same place where you lived with this person before?
No, I've moved. I'm in my own place now. But they come in here.
Did you take the router with you, or is this a whole new router at your house?
It's a whole new router.
Okay,
whole new router.
Okay. Make sure that you have changed the password on that router, because they all come with default passwords. Let me tell you, Joe, you can go online. You can find any password that you want. With your phone, I want you to do a whole factory reset. Whatever security questions you've set up, two-factor authentication, I want you to go through all of that. Make sure you have new unique passwords.
Okay.
Change your OfferUp account. Change all that information if you want. Yeah. I would even recommend that you get a whole new email address. And so what I want you to do is anything that you can change that this person might know, I want you to change it. That's the bottom line here. Now, as far as in your storage locker, I would install some security cameras right inside there, motion-detected security cameras, and some work by electric, some work are solar. Solar's not going to work on this side. Some work on battery, rather. And so if you can't plug one in, and I'll give you some links to some security cameras, but you're going to look at probably at least a lesser expensive than, say, a Google brand or something like that, because it sounds like money's tight. And so this way, when something does happen in that storage unit, that you will get an automatic notification. Okay. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to start documenting things that are happening to you. Start making a notebook, or put a note on your phone. Or I mentioned notebook because sometimes it's easier just to have a composition pad and you just make notes in it, instead of having to open an app and then open something up. So I want you to start just keeping track of the date and time when you start seeing these things happen, and to see if there's some sort of pattern, something that will say it's like, okay, this is always happening at this particular time of day. But the bottom line here is that, number one, I'm sorry that you're having to go through all this, but I also want you to make sure that you're smart about it, and just make sure that you do change every password, any security question, anything that you have along the way. And if you need any other help, Jill, I am here for you. Just give me a call right back. All right, let's talk about how to unsend an email. Did you ever send an email that you just wanted to take back? Well, first, if you use Gmail, the feature is called Undo Send. And the next time you send an email in Gmail, I want you to look for the undo link in the bottom left corner when you send the message. Now, the default is 5 seconds, but don't worry, you can change that up to 30 seconds under General Settings. Now, for Microsoft listeners, you can unsend an email, but Microsoft never makes anything easy. So if you use Outlook on the web, you can, but the desktop version, you can't, okay? But you have 30 seconds to take an email back. Hey, our Commanding the Tech trivia is coming up. You don't want to miss here on the Kim Komando Show. That's right. It's Commanding the Tech World Trivia, because we've all seen how the world has changed because of tech. But maybe you don't know the backstory, the things that are going round and round in this digital world. So in playing Commanding the Tech World Trivia, you need to really think. Really think. And our special guest contestant and victim joining us this week for a most valuable prize ever. Yes, it's the Kim Komando Show Fanny Pack, the official Fanny Pack, is Casey from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Hi there, Casey.
Hi, Kim. I wanted to tell you how much we appreciate your help. And I've been a listener and received your newsletters for, I would say, 15 years.
Wow, that's awesome.
I really appreciate the early warning about data breaches. Sometimes we never even see those on the broadcast news, but Komando has announced them to us.
That's right. You know what? And thank you for that, because we work really hard. It's nice to know that all of our work is appreciated. That's so sweet of you, Casey. This week about our trivia, have you ever used the service Instacart?
Yes.
Okay, don't you love it? I use it all the time. Have you ever wondered how it got started?
Yes.
Okay, so our trivia this week is all about Instacart and how it got started. And I'm going to give you some clues, and then I'm going to ask you a question, okay? The idea for Instacart was conceived by a guy by the name of Apurva Mehta, and he worked as a supply chain engineer at Amazon. And he was so frustrated by the fact that he had to go to the grocery store all the time. And he began to think about the possibility of a grocery delivery service, but if you could get your groceries the same day or maybe in just a few hours. So back in 2012, he quit his job at Amazon. He moved to San Francisco to start Instacart. That was the first city. He initially funded this company, his ideas, by using his own savings account and then getting into credit card debt. Wow, that's a lot of chutzpah right there, right? So my question for you is, who was the first Instacart shopper and delivery person when he launched his company? There's only three choices. Was it A, Meta's mother, because she would basically do anything for her son, of course? Was it B, a friend of his who is now the company's CTO? Or was it Meta himself? So who was the first Instacart shopper and delivery person? Was it his mom, a friend, or did he actually do it? Now, remember, this is all for the Kim Komando Show official fanny pack. Are you ready? So Casey, which one do you guess?
I'm guessing it was himself.
And why would you say that?
Because that was how he got the idea to start it, was his frustration of having to go to the time.
That's okay. Well, let's go to the judges. Let's hear what the judges have to say. You got it, Casey. You did it. That's right. He would receive the orders from the customers. He would shop for their groceries at the local stores, and then he would hand deliver these orders to customers' homes. And then, of course, he had to hire more shoppers. And right now, since 2012, that's when he started. He's in over 5,500 cities. He has partnerships with 600 retailers. They raised $2 billion in funding. And Instacart is now valued at $39 billion. Wow. Isn't that
what a
something?
Good idea.
Right, exactly. So let me ask you another question. Why must the grocery store workers let customers decide if they want paper or plastic bags? You know why? You have any idea? Okay, I'll tell you. Because baggers can't be choosers. Ooh, that's a bad one. Sorry about that. All right. So you have a question for me or two, and how can I help you out?
Well, we get maybe 8 or 10 scam-likely calls every day. And last Thursday, we got 20 of them. And
oh, my gosh.
And we use an iPhone, and we already have the silent unknown callers feature turned on. And I never answer calls from anybody who's not in my contact list because I learned that from you. And I'm really careful not to ever hit that redial button on those calls. But I read on your site that T-Mobile has not just scam silence, but scam block that you can activate. But we use Consumer Cellular, and even though they run on T-Mobile, we don't have that sophistication available to us. So we're really worried about, first of all, are all these calls, were they random dialed or robocalled, or does someone actually have our data and information already? And can they get more of it from the phone?
Well, it's the silence unknown callers for everybody, maybe they're not familiar with what we're talking about, Casey, is that when you receive a call from a number that is not in your contact list, not in your recent call list, or any Siri suggestions, maybe there was an email, phone number, an email that had a phone number, and that'd be a Siri suggestion, then the silence unknown callers will prevent your iPhone from ringing or even vibrating. Now, the deal is that unfortunately you don't have that with Consumer Cellular. My first thing is number one, maybe you might be able to switch to T-Mobile or even AT&T, Verizon, but of course we love T-Mobile here. They're official sponsor of our show because they really do have a great job at Scam Shield. And they have these plans now that it's $27.50 a line for unlimited. And you may find that Consumer Cellular, even though they're running on T-Mobile lines, that they may not be the cheapest anymore because there's been huge competition between all the different carriers. Now, if you don't answer the call, you don't provide any personal information, then all your phone and all your data is safe. Now, if you don't want to switch from Consumer Cellular, there are some apps that will do the call blocking for you, and they will identify the spam calls, the robocalls, and the telemarketers. They have names like Nomo Robo, Truecaller is another really popular one, and Hiya is the third one I like to tell people about. There's always a free plan, but Casey, there's always an upsell somewhere. So you may find that it's maybe cheaper for you to get a new carrier instead of getting one of these free apps that's going to try to upsell you something along the other side, that it has the Scam Shield built in. So does that answer your question?
Yes. So it was Nomo Robo, Hiya.
Yes.
And what was the third one?
Truecaller. And we'll send you a list of these two. And we also have this information on the website. And, it is annoying. Just one more thing I want to leave you with, because it is concerning to me that you're getting so many of these calls, right? I know that maybe you did this a long time ago. Just make sure that your phone number is on the do not call list, and that's donotcall.gov. I know even though you have your number on the list, you're still going to get robocalls. But the other thing, too, is I want to make sure that you are opting out as many of these public databases that you can do. Every Tuesday on Komando.com, we have something called Opt Out Tuesday. And it's just that, Casey, is we find a people search site that may have your cell phone number listed, and therefore that's how you're getting calls. And a lot of these are just done by, they try, 555-1212, and then the robo will go 555/1213-1415. So it's, so it could just be this random thing. But it's always a good idea to get all your personal information out of these databases. And if you head over to Komando.com/opt-out, we have all these tips and the ways to opt out of these public people search databases. Right now, I think we're at 31. So it's a big list. And so if you haven't already checked out Opt Out Tuesday, I would encourage you to do that. And again, Casey, thank you for your call. And thank you for your kind words about all the work that we do here on the show, on the site, and also in our newsletter. Have you ever wondered if the do not call registry is really working? Okay, here's the spoiler. It's not. U.S. consumer received over 50.3 billion robocalls in 2022, slightly less than the 50.5 billion in 2021. Wow, it's a lot of robocalls. Yes, my car warranty. All right, in our money tip, used phones are demand, and we put together a list of the best models to buy at any budget. So like, for example, let's say you only have $100, but you want a really good used phone, an Apple iPhone SE, your second generation, a Google Pixel 4a 5G. Now, what if you got $300 to $500? Well, then you're going to look at an iPhone 11 Pro or a Galaxy S21. So what about $500? Well, more. We've got an iPhone 12 Pro, a Galaxy S22. Now, keep in mind, if you're buying that Galaxy S22, make sure the pen's included, because if it's not, have the seller knock off a few bucks. And then we've got the models of phones that you should only be looking at, and they're compatible with iOS 16 and Android 13. Now, to see this whole list and get those recommendations once more, because I know I blew through them very, very quickly, head over to Komando.com and hit the link that says Kim Show. All right, still to come, we have more of your phone calls, as well as later on. Private mode, is it 100% private? I know the answer, and you will too, here on the Kim Komando Show. All right, if you're not already getting our daily tech update as a podcast, please do go check it out wherever you get your podcast. Search for Komando with a K. And again, you want to get our daily tech update. It's 60 seconds every single day, a top news story, and also a great life hack. All right, back to the phones we go with Rick in Seattle, Washington.
Hello, Kim. Thanks for taking my call.
You betcha. What's going on?
So, where we live out on our development here, we've always had cable internet service. And here recently, the T-Mobile, one of your sponsors, has started offering 5G cellular service. So I've been giving that a try, and it's working out really great. I really love it. But I got to thinking that for security reasons, from the 5G router to the tower, is there something that can happen in between there? I mean, can somebody take a big data net and grab my data and look at it? Or is there any additional security measures I might need to take because of that? Or I'm just curious about that.
I understand, because, for you have a wired cable connection. You're like, okay, this must be really safe because it's not subject to RF interference or any of that interception that you talked about. And you can easily encrypt a wired connection. But let's talk about 5G for just a second. It was really designed from the ground up to have really great security features. So it already has things built in against eavesdropping and against attacks and any type of tampering. And it uses end-to-end encryption to protect all your data. And then there's also some stronger authentication protocols to prevent any unauthorized access. But it does have some security challenges. I mean, there is the chance that we would have what we call the denial of service attack. I mean, maybe somebody could get in the middle of all that. But, there's also problems with wired cable connections, too. I mean, they're not 100% secure either. But I think 5G wireless is secure. But the thing is to make sure that you are also being secure on your end. What does that mean? That you have some good security software. You have a router, and then you're updating the router. And so it's not like sometimes like they say, oh, there's an update to this. Just make sure that you hit the router once in a while or the access points to make sure that everything is there. If you're doing something that's, say really confidential, secure, make sure that you're using a VPN. So this way it'll make that encryption happen. If you are using a regular email service, you might want to look at using an encrypted email service, and that would be Gmail and Outlook. And then, of course, there's paid services like Proton Mail. But it's a really good question. What I'd like to do, Rick, is to actually give you a list of all this stuff in one of our free tips. And so this way we can help everybody out and give you a kind of a checklist to go through. And if you don't already get our tips, make sure that you sign up right now at komando.com/get-free-tips. That's komando.com/get-free-tips. And Rick, we'll probably put that out over the next week or so. And thank you for your call. That's such a great question. All right, Kirk in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Hi, Kim. I have a salvage yard where we sell used parts, and it's about 5 or 6 acres, and they are literally stealing my parts, especially my catalytic converters, on a nightly basis.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I had a catalytic converter stolen from my truck. I was so mad at that. So crazy. I mean, it was only there for, I think, 30 minutes, and I lost a catalytic converter. So what we're going to be talking about are putting up some security cameras. So it's a pretty big piece of land. So there's probably, I would guess, not electrical service all throughout it?
That is correct.
Okay, so we're going to start looking at solar-powered cameras. There's a company called Reolink, and they have solar-powered security camera systems. And it has a built-in solar panel and rechargeable battery. It has 1080p HD camera, pan-tilt zoom, all that other stuff, night vision. It also has two-way radio. So this would be so cool, Kirk, is that if somebody is actually stealing something, you'd be like, hey, get off my property. I'm calling the cops right now. And they're about $150 each. I don't know how many that you're going to need to install to actually cover the entire salvage yard. But if you're interested too, if you have a Ring camera, a Ring doorbell or anything like that, is that there's also a solar stick-up cam from Ring. It's about $100, but this Reolink is actually pretty darn sweet. There's also another brand called DZs that we have installed on a construction site. And John, one of our technical geniuses here at the Kim Komando Show, set it all up. And let me tell you, that system works super sweet. So I guess instead of Reolink, I would look at the brand that we installed on the construction site. And how about we send you a link to both of these and you can decide. The system that we installed on our construction site is called Disease, not like disease, like D and then ZEES, and that's Disease. And it's been working flawlessly for me. And so I really think that that's something that you might want to take a look at instead of the Reolink, because this way you can have various cameras in different places. And these are actually powered by USB. And so you just take them down and you charge them up and then you can put them back up. So either way, if you want solar powered, look at Reolink. The other one, look at Disease. And again, we'll send you the link to both. And thank you for your call today, Kirk. Once again, that's DZs. That's DZEES, DZs. Solar security cameras, wireless outdoor. They're battery powered, has a 360-degree PTZ camera, spotlight, siren, all kinds of great stuff. And they're like $90. You can find them on Amazon. In Google Chrome, it's called incognito mode. Firefox and Safari call it private browsing. Edge, it's called private. But here's how it works. When you're in private browsing mode, it doesn't save your history, your cookies, or your form data. What you look at in your system is wiped out when you close the browser. Okay, that keeps your autofill suggestions clean, and any websites that you visited, they just go into the intergalactic Bitbucket. But don't think forever that nobody's going to see this data. Your ISP still sees everything, and even Google still has access to anything you do in these so-called private modes. Hey, do me a favor, tell 3 friends about the Kim Komando Show and the Kim Komando Today podcast, because everybody needs more tech smarts, and knowledge is, of course, power. And you can find me 24/7 over on the website. That's komando.com.
You're listening to the Kim Komando Show podcast for the weekend of February 18th, 2023. Thank you for listening, and here's hour 3.
I always like to start with something that maybe you can use to impress your family and friends. And there's a woman by the name of Susan Wojcicki, and she's the CEO of YouTube, and she has been for the last 9 years, and she's stepping down. YouTube did almost $30 billion in advertising revenue last year. It accounts for 10% of Google's parent company, Alphabet's total sales. So YouTube's a big, big part of this company. But what I find interesting is that Susan was Google's 16th employee. She was also Google's first landlord. That's a little fun fact for you. Back in 1998, she rented out her garage in Menlo Park, California, to Google's co-founders for about $1,700 a month. Wow, isn't that something? Hey, in other CEO news, the CEO of IKEA has just been appointed as the Prime Minister of Sweden. Yes, and he's currently assembling his cabinet. Oh, yes. Now, you might notice my voice is a little raspy today. No, I did not go to a concert last night and scream a lot. I just got a little bit of a cold. And having a cold and being a national radio host is like the worst thing. So just bear with me as we get through the show. Hey, listen, you've tapped into the nation's largest, most trusted and fun show and podcast about all things digital. And if you're a new listener, welcome. We're totally glad to have you with us. And if you're already a listener, welcome back. You can find my award-winning show on over 425 top radio stations across the United States. And we're streaming in your favorite radio app. Just search for my last name, Komando. And we're streaming on demand 24/7 as a podcast, as a webcast, over at getkim.com. And a special thank you goes out to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network Radio. Our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And if you have a question but you're just too shy to come on a big-time radio show and podcast, I get that. Head over to komando.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, there's a link that says Email Kim. All right, every single day, I am all over the internet visiting at least 30 different sites to make sure that you and I are both up to date on all things digital. And this is part of the show where I like to pass along 5 numbers that you may see in the headlines and what exactly it means to you. And the first number on our list is infinite. What did she say? Infinite? That's right. That's the amount of data that your phone is collecting about you. So why is that number infinite? Well, every time you use your phone, you just go ahead and pass along more data points to everybody who's tracking you. Now, the reason why I bring this up is that if you get your phone in China, you can forget all about that. A new study from the University of Edinburgh says that Chinese devices just send a scary amount of data back to Chinese service providers. Okay, that's a given. Okay, but even when those phones visit other countries, like the United States with better privacy laws, the phones are still passing along that data. So researchers found that these apps send sensitive information without any consent, like GPS coordinates, name, personal relationships, anything that they do on the phone. So the reason why I bring this up to you, because you're like, Kim, we're not in China. Hey, I know that, okay, and I have no plans to go to China. If you communicate with someone who owns a phone from China, then your information can be passed to those companies without you even knowing. So the brands to look out for: OnePlus, Xiaomi, Apao, and Realme. And do not buy these phones on Amazon or eBay. And I know you might be tempted because they're cheap. They're cheap because they're getting all your data. Number 2 on our list, 5 phones that are worth money. So I want you to look through your closets, look through your desk drawers, and see what you can find. A first-gen iPhone, unopened in the box, it can sell for, they say, $50,000 at an auction. Second gen, $1,100. Okay, that's even if you didn't open it. I know you used it too. How about the Motorola Dynatac 8000X? It was released in 1983. Remember those? It was the big brick phones. $1,000 or maybe $10,000, and it only made phone calls. Remember that? Then we have the CityMan 900. It was the first mobile phone. It was made by Nokia in 1987. It's worth about $3,500. And a Motorola Razr phone. Oh my gosh, I loved that phone. Mine was hot pink. It's worth about $200. Next on our list, number 3, $1.3 billion. What's going on with that? If you're on Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, anything like that, you get a message from someone asking you for money for a sick friend or a jailed relative, that's a major dating red flag. And believe it or not, that's the most common message that romance scammers send. It accounts for 24% of all messages when they start asking for money. Let's see, 70,000 people got scammed out of $1.3 billion last year. Now, these scammers aren't only asking for money. Maybe they're going to say, hey, give me some money because we can make some investments together. That's about 18%. Sextortion, where they're saying that, you send me a naked picture and then you send them a naked picture and then they say we're going to send it to all your friends and relatives and post it online. That's also way up there. But the people most likely to fall for that are 18 to 29, just to let you know. Speaking of texting, I got to tell you this story because I'm still trying to figure this out. I know he did it just as a joke, but I'm figuring out how I can get him back. So if you have an idea of how I can get my husband back, I want you to reach out to me and let me know. Because I was on the sofa just sitting next to my husband. He was having a little snack and he was on his phone. So I had my phone in the kitchen. It was charging. And then my phone rings. And so I got up. I went to the kitchen. And there I got a text message from my husband that said, when you come back to the family room, could you please bring the salt and pepper? Okay. I was like, oh, you dog. So if any of you listening have an idea on how I can get him back, I want you to let me know. Oh, number 4 on our list, one, as in I'm number 1. Now, if you go on Twitter, you see a lot of posts from Elon Musk. You're not being crazy. He now gets first place in your Twitter feed. Number 1, because after all, he is in charge of Twitter. It all started on Super Bowl Sunday. Elon Musk sent a tweet out about how he supports and loves the Philadelphia Eagles, and so did President Biden. What Biden's tweet got 29 million views. Elon's, just a measly 9.1 million before he removed it. So apparently he was really upset about this. He threatened to fire engineers, and then now they're saying, okay, they're going to boost his tweets by a factor of 1,000. And so he says that he's saying like, oh, that never happened. Okay. I never told anybody that. And so that was the most recent news. But I still think that he's inflating his tweets. I mean, after all, he paid like $40 billion for it. I think he has the right to do it. Hey, by the way, did you know that both the Golden Gate Bridge and the Brooklyn Bridge, that they have Twitter accounts? Well, they used to. Now they're suspended. Suspended bridges. Okay, finally this. We're moving on. Number 5, $50,000. Okay. You know how it is after you get a job interview, you're anxious, you're waiting for the next email to pop up saying, okay, now you got to do this, you got to do that. Well, a woman posted to Reddit that she was in that position. She got an exciting email back from a company that she interviewed with. But when she opened it, she's like, what's going on in this? Well, it was a mistake. She really should not have received the email. Because in the email, it was the company talking to each other saying, well, she's okay, but she's looking for 55 to 60 grand. I don't think she's really worth it. I think she would probably accept $53,000. Did you see where she lives? Come on. That's a big seller for where she lives. So then she got this email and she's like, well, I'm going to show them. So she didn't say anything about it. She went to the second interview and she said, you know what? I got your email, folks. I would never, ever, ever want to work for a company like you. After all, she was thinking about being a scuba dive instructor, but deep down she realized that also wasn't for her. That was okay. You can work with me, scuba diving deep down. All right, still to come, how to earn cash on the side with some online surveys. We're going to talk about the stupidest tech patents, and then if you want to liven up those Google Docs, we have some free templates, and also the smart way to buy secondhand on Amazon, and we have all of your phone calls, and you have me, Kim Komando. I read this fascinating story the other day about how emojis are being used in courtrooms to decide cases. And I was like, I never really thought about that. So to tell us more about it is Eric Goldman. He's a law professor at Santa Clara University School of Law. Okay, we all love emojis, but you know that they can have some double meanings. Like, let's look at a peach emoji. Yes, if you have a nice peach, right? What if a knife emoji actually showed up in a court case? Could you decipher its meaning and intent? Because in more and more courtrooms throughout the country, this issue is totally popping up. Like, for example, is a text that has high heels and a money bag next to it with it that says teamwork makes the dream work? And I know I say that so much here in the office, and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't say that anymore. Is it enough to imply a relationship between a prostitute and a pimp? Well, it was enough. The person who texted it was sent to prison for 4 years. Or how about if a man texts his ex-girlfriend a pistol emoji? Is that a real threat? Well, in one court case in France, it was, and that man was sentenced to 3 months in prison. And joining us talking about this trend that's happening in law cases throughout the country is Eric Goldman. And Eric is a law professor at Santa Clara University School of Law. Hello there, Eric.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So what was the craziest case that you've ever come across with emojis in the courtroom? I find this so fascinating.
Emojis show up in hundreds of court opinions, but most of the time they're not analyzed. They're just referenced as part of the evidence. So we actually have a fairly small corpus of cases that talk about and analyze emojis. The craziest one I can think of is where a person submitted evidence showing an emoji that they thought they had seen, but the depiction wasn't consistent with their story about how they generated that screenshot. And as a result, it came to light that actually the screenshot had been fabricated. And it was discovered because the emoji was using the wrong version of an emoji. So it was basically like a form of emoji forensics. They could figure out the mistake.
So every year we have new emojis, and then they used an older version. Is that what happened?
Yeah. So in this case, it was with an Apple device, and so the particular version of emoji that was used had changed over the course of Apple's emoji history. And so she had claimed she was using an older device, but the emoji that was depicted was only available on the newer device, and that then started to expose the lie.
And so, you bring up an interesting point about text messages. So often I get the question here on the show, like, how do I save my text messages? Because I want to make sure in case I do need to bring them into a court case. How often are you running across where people are actually taking the time to save their text messages? Instead, they just go into like I like to say, the intergalactic bit bucket, or can the carriers actually get these text messages back?
Text message storage isn't an expertise of mine, but I will tell you in the case I mentioned, actually part of the problem is that she said her phone had been destroyed. And so she submitted this evidence, but without actually turning over her phone so that the opposition could take a look and see if they could find the message. So this question about where do you get the source of particular evidence, this is a pretty common one in court cases.
Have you ever run across a case where the emoji made the difference between jail time or not?
Yes. And I'll call your attention specifically to one of several cases where emojis have been used by teens. And so the teens are chattering with each other the way that they talk. But they're doing it online in a way that's stored and often has emojis that might not mean what they look like they mean or what we assume they mean. And so in one case, a daughter was complaining about her relationship with her mother, and she used a bunch of really hateful statements towards her mother. But there were emojis attached to them, and the court said, the emojis make it seem like she didn't really mean all these hateful things that she said. We aren't going to treat it as if she really intended to go and cause harm to the mother, like her text message actually suggested. And so in a sense, then, the emojis helped recontextualize the conversation and kept her out of jail.
Wow, that's something. Are there certain emojis that criminals use?
You gave a good example in your introductory remarks. You mentioned, for example, that high heels and money bags have a particular meaning in the sex trafficking context that they don't mean elsewhere. You didn't mention another one was the crown emoji. And every time I use a crown emoji, which isn't often, I get nervous for the same reason you got nervous about the teamwork makes the dream work statement. But in fact, emojis develop slang meanings regularly. That's true with all other forms of human communication. It's not unusual to emojis emojis. And so there's plenty of emojis that have criminal slang that we may not be aware of if we're not in that community. So, for example, many emojis have drug context that I don't know about because I'm not in that particular market, but that is well understood among a group of people in the market about criminal activity.
So would you ever have thought, go back to your 20-year-old self, that you'd be a professor of law focusing on emojis?
Actually, I'm going to say maybe, and I'm going to give you evidence why it's not just a completely ridiculous idea. I first taught an internet law course back in 1996. At the time, I was 28. And I included in my course materials for that class, there was no book at the time that would be suitable, but in my course materials, I included a glossary of emoticons because I thought they were so important to the way in which people were talking online that I thought my students need to know something about emoticons. So, it's a little crazy to think that I spent so much time, I'm getting a chance to talk to Kim Komando about emojis. But emojis or the predecessor emoticons have actually been an integral part of how I thought about internet law now for decades.
Well, Eric, thank you so much for enlightening us about emojis and law. I'm sure that I'm not the only one who thought, how could these two worlds actually collide? But it does make perfect sense.
Well, it's a real honor to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
I never ever really thought about emojis being used this way. Like cocaine is a snowflake. Different types of drugs are maybe like diamonds. If you're dealing drugs, you have an 8-ball. Weed is sometimes leaves or 4-leaf clovers. Sexting has all kinds of different words. Sexting is all different kinds of emojis. Ecstasy are like aliens. Ketamine is a horse. We have a whole list of these, by the way, over at Komando.com in case you want to check it out. Hey, we're going to be talking about the stupidest tech patents with our amazing content queen, Ali Seligman, so stay right where you are. All right, coming up in just a few moments, if you want to liven up your Google Docs and tell you how you can get some great free templates, and then later on, how you can buy secondhand on Amazon and save some big bucks. And joining us right now here on the Kim Komando Show is our amazing content queen, Ali Seligman. Hello there, Ali. I'm not really sure what happened. I got this cold, but I'm not congested. It's just like it's like this is the worst thing a radio host could ever have wrong with them is their voice. I'd rather have a headache.
I do.
You
still sound pretty good though. You're just a little more soulful this week. Yeah.
Ooh, maybe I can get that side hustle, come on, baby. All right. So now you've been out scouring, looking at tech patents because I am doing, and you're like, there are the dumbest tech patents I've ever seen. Okay. So tell us about the first one.
There are so many dumb ones out there. I love this. This is held by Sony. They filed a patent to turn inanimate objects, including a banana, into a game controller. I don't know why you would need a banana to be a game controller. I don't think that would last very long, do you? Yeah.
No, it wouldn't. I mean, even if you buy green bananas, I still think
would it then become a banana bread controller, maybe? Maybe, yeah.
Ooh.
Part of the reason, by the way, that tech companies have so many patents, and they do, I'll tell you how many some of the big ones have, is because they incentivize their employees to do this. They will give you a cash bonus if you think of something that leads to a patent. Apple, they offer up to $4,000. Google offers up to $10,000 for a patent. So that's why they come up with all these harebrained ideas. And some are great, but some are not. Yes.
Of course.
Another one. Now, this isn't a tech company, but I had to include it because it's just pretty absurd. This is from Louisiana Tech University. They have a patent on how to organize files into folders on a computer.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Apparently, me too. It describes the process of how software can automatically put files into folders. Not particular software, just in general, that this can happen. Okay, cool.
Oh, nice. I wonder if they have that patent, do they get royalties from any of the big companies?
That is also why a lot of patents exist, right? We all know the term patent trolls, which is basically someone who patents something so that they can then try to sue you and maybe scare you into giving them some money. I like to think Louisiana Tech isn't doing that, and they just wanted the patent. By the way, this won the EFF's Stupid Patent of the Month award. Another recipient was IBM because in 2017, they patented out-of-office email.
In 2017?
And you know what? I think people were sending out-of-office email way, way before 2017. Yes.
How did they do that? I mean, or how did they?
Because no one else had done it.
I mean, somebody at the patent office. I mean, maybe somebody at the patent office never got an out of the office email.
Maybe so.
What's going on?
That also won the Stupid Patent of the Month award. And the best part is a few days later, IBM donated the patent to the public because they got embarrassed.
Thank you.
Let's look at Amazon. They have about 25,000 patents.
Oh,
First up, a delivery blimp. Yes, a blimp. They call it an airborne fulfillment center, which sounds kind of cool and futuristic, right? It would deploy drones. It would act as a drone charging center. So basically imagine, this new space life we live where we've got a huge floating blimp with all our Amazon products. They also have, kind of on the other side of things, a patent for an underground network for delivery. I kid you not, this thing has tunnels, conveyor belts, vacuum tubes. So I guess if we have to go live underground, Amazon wins the shipping game there too.
I did see a video once of the Amazon blimp, and they had drones coming in and out of the blimp delivering things. And I remember thinking, it sounds far-fetched, but I could actually see that happening. I mean, where you would have like the most commonly purchased things in this area, and then you'd have like a drone go up. I mean, it would totally solve that whole last mile problem. But then, of course, you'd have people, they'd be like skeet shooting for prizes, like,
yeah,
boom,
it feels like a big what could go wrong
things.
Situation. And I could think of a lot that could go wrong. Perhaps Amazon's most ridiculous patent. 2014, they were awarded a patent to take photos in front of a white background. Yes, as you can imagine, all photographers were a little bit like, wait, what? How? There is a little more specificity, and there are certain light, certain camera equipment, but I mean, come on, this one's a little bit ridiculous. Google has to make our patent list. Google has 80,000 patents that they filed for, 30,000 of which were granted. So they shoot their shot. They don't always get it, but, that's a lot.
The odds, they're doing pretty good for 80,000.
Now, this is on the list because I just had to. We, maybe instead of stupid, we'll say it's brilliant, although we don't really like it for our privacy, right? The patent is called Advertisements Based on Weather Conditions. And they filed this way back in 2012, which is the tech that allows Google to detect where you are and the weather and market you certain things based on it. So here in Phoenix, I get flip-flops. Everybody else, you get a winter coat, right? So not exactly stupid, but pretty invasive, yeah? Apple. How many patents do you think Apple has?
Okay, well, they have 80,000.
Well, 80 that they filed for, so 30,000. Google has 30. How many active patents for Apple?
Is that Apple? I'm going to say
55. They patent everything. Good guess, though. The shape of an iPhone, a rectangle with rounded corners, that's patented. Yep. What about this? A glass staircase. I didn't know they were really in the architecture game, but yes, they patented glass staircases in 2003 because they have those in their stores. And then in 2013, they patented spiral glass staircases because they put one of those in too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Another Apple, the bag. The patent is literally just called bag. And this is for their 60% recyclable bags. Why patented?
Okay.
They say that because they are 60% recyclable and not all flimsy and crappy like other bags, it's worth a patent. And I guess someone agreed because they got that patent. We can't talk about dumb patents without ending with Facebook.
Oh, I love Facebook. Facebook is the greatest company. No,
hey, they give us a lot of fodder to talk about, right? They do.
You know what? They do. Absolutely. What did I read just the other day? That Mark Zuckerberg's personal security is up this year to $4 million a year. Just on his personal security, $4 million a year. I guess a lot of people don't like him. Or maybe, probably everybody's going after him. It's like, Mark, you closed down my Facebook account. I cannot get in, right? What's going on?
Facebook.com/hacked. That's why he started that. Okay. Facebook, 2015, they patented tech that lets banks and lenders use social media to decide if they should give you a loan. Now, are they rating your selfies? Is this how annoying your posts are? No, they're actually looking at your friends and seeing what their credit scores are to decide if they should give you money too. I guess they're thinking maybe if you can't pay your loans, your friends can help. But doesn't seem great.
Well, they're probably thinking like, if
yes,
you're a deadbeat,
absolutely.
you're hanging out with other deadbeats and you're a credit risk. But insurance companies are doing that. I mean, they're looking at your social media to see if like you're posting car pics of you spinning out and doing crazy stuff like that. And so it wouldn't be, I guess I'm not that surprised that the banks are probably looking at it too. I mean, think of all the data points that Facebook has on just about everybody. But I love how people always complain about Facebook, but then they don't leave it, right? I mean, it's like, I hate Facebook, but I'm still on it, I mean, we're at facebook.com/Kim Komando, right? I mean, we have the show there and I have a personal account there. But you know what I did recently is I sat on my phone, I went to our Instagram account, and I don't know, for some reason that account was following 205 people. So every time I would go on, I'd see like 205, I don't even know who, half of these people are. I mean, probably a quarter of the people I maybe even had heard of. So I just wiped everybody out. And so, I just deleted everybody. So now we're following 2 people. Okay. I'm following Ian because I'm his mom. And there's an account, I don't know if I can say this on the air. And there's an account called, I think I can, but I don't know if I can.
Hint to it.
It's, okay, you know what? Okay. You should follow this account. It's called, I can say it. You know what? When somebody's online and they're showing off and saying like how great they are or this get rich quick scheme or whatever, they call themselves, they're ballers, right? Okay. So there's this Instagram account called Baller Busters. And I think this is like the funniest thing because what they'll do is they'll grab clips of Grant Cardone talking about how buying real estate is a bad investment. You should never buy real estate. It's bogus, all this other stuff. And then the Baller Busters will come up where it's like they'll put up, Grant Cardone just bought a new house in Miami and he just bought this and he just bought this. So anyway, so those are
amazing.
the 2 accounts
if you're on Instagram, maybe don't search for that because you might get some weird stuff. Instead, go over to Instagram.com/Kim Komando, go to the followers, and you can find it.
And then you can see exactly where they are. And you have to request to follow them too, by the way. Is that you've got to, because the account's locked down. Allie, great job as always. And what do we have coming up at Komando.com?
We have so much good stuff. Now, we have talked a lot about our Opt Out Tuesday series, and we are expanding big time. So we already did this week how to get your information from Samsung, everything they know about you, Adobe, and we are going to tackle all the big tech companies. So if you're that person who is sick of knowing just how much Apple or Google or Microsoft knows about you, we're going to help you fix it.
And again, that's Opt Out Tuesday every single, what day of the week would that be? Tuesday. Yes, Opt Out Tuesday at Komando.com. Great job as always, Allie. Thanks for being here. All right, if you're using Google Docs, you ought to be checking out the free templates so you don't have to start from scratch. Some places where you want to go, template.net. They have this huge selection. You can have 100 downloads in any file format. They got stock images, fonts, artwork. It does cost a few bucks a month. There's also Goo Docs. Yeah, not Google Docs, Goo Docs. And they also have free templates that you can edit, whether it's a Google Docs sheet or even a slide PowerPoint presentation, whatever it may be. So in case you're looking for some free templates to get your business started, even a resume, what you want to do is head over to Komando.com and hit the link that says Kim Show. All right, still to come, we have more of your phone calls as well as some tips on buying secondhand on Amazon here on the Kim Komando Show. Hey, listen, join 400,000 folks who get our free newsletter every single day. It takes just 5 minutes to read it. It's 100% free. You can unsubscribe at any time and sign up now at komando.com/get-free-tips. komando.com/get-free-tips. Hey, Mike, you're up next here on the Kim Komando Show.
Hey, Kim, it's great to talk to you. Thank you very much for taking my call. I love your show. You're so knowledgeable. I'm so happy to talk to you.
Well, thank you, Mike. I'm here. Glad that you're here too. So what's going on?
Hey, you're the only person that I honestly think can save me here. I've got a pair of older Bo 901 speakers. They're like Series 5 or Series 6. So they're not the oldest of the old, but they're still like 30 years old, give or take. And when the person came to install the speakers, they said, we're going to be lucky, to hook it up with this receiver that's also equally 30 years old. I don't want a 30-year-old receiver.
Okay, well,
I want to be able to use like my iPhone and Bluetooth, iTunes to the receiver. I need a solution. I can't find an answer no matter what.
Well, here, let me tell you, is that you have come to the right place. Okay, fear not, dear Michael, because when you sent an email, is that I went over to our IT geniuses. And I have 2 IT geniuses. These are the 2 guys that I go to when I have a question, Mike, right? And one in particular, IT genius Jeremy, well, John is amazing, and so is Jeremy. Jeremy has some broadcast engineering background, but he doesn't like me to know that. Okay, as a matter of fact, because he hides that skill set from me. He does. And so,
of course, because then you're going to use them all the time.
Exactly. But you know what? But over time, he's let it slip, and I've given him some things. And let me tell you, he's got the studio running. Because, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, he's the guy. So anyway, Jeremy sat down, and he has figured out everything that you need. He's figured out the receiver, the pre-out RCA, and how you're going to cook all that up, how you're going to leave them connected. You're going to turn the input into it, and then you control everything from the new receiver. And he just he wrote this whole thing up for me to show me exactly how this would work. So what I'm going to do, Mike, is I'm going to share it with you. Okay, so
I am so ready, Kim. My gosh, you're the guy. You're the goddess of radio, but you're so knowledgeable. I just thank you.
Well, Mike, I tell you, I can't take credit for this one. This is all of Jeremy and John putting this together. And so let me tell you, folks, if you've got some old speakers and you want to be able to bring them into the 21st century, is that we're going to post some links for what Mike's going to be using, and you might be able to use this stuff too over inside the Q&A forum inside the Komando community. And it's free to browse. You do have to pay to post, and it's just a few bucks a month. But again, that's komando.com/community, and Mike will send that out to you directly. And thank you so much for your call. It's always fun to help people out. Over at amazon.com/renewed, that's where you can buy expertly refurbished products at really low prices. And most of them are guaranteed for at least 90 days. Once again, that's amazon.com/renewed. But I want you to make sure that you pay attention because they have like new. But like new and new is totally different, means different things to different people. Again, but if you want to check it out, just shop smartly at amazon.com/renewed. Hey, be sure to tell 3 friends about the Kim Komando Show and podcast because knowledge is power. You can find me 24/7 at komando.com.